Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dan from Crypto Camacho, and guys, I need to get something off my chest today. I've been just watching all this happen behind the scenes, and I need to unload it from my mind. I need to get it out on my channel. I need to know what you guys think, because I think there's definitely some forces and things happening behind the scenes in the crypto market, in the banking market, that we cannot see, in the financial system, in governments, in big technology companies, and so forth, that we don't actually see. And I want to kind of start piecing some of this together, start bringing some of it together for you guys, give you some insight, and just curious your thoughts in it, all right? All right, so the state of the market today, if we look at Bitcoin, in the last day or two, Bitcoin hit $10,000 again, just hit $10,000, and we were not able to overcome and break out of the $10,000 price level, and now we're seeing a decline in the price of Bitcoin, right? And that happened just in the last day or two. This happened where we hit $10,000, and now we're kind of going back down. We're probably going to see a bit more of a downturn. We're going to see some retracement going on before going back up higher. And ironically, you know, we were unable to hit 10,000 with Bitcoin. Ironically, at the same time, you know, Bill Gates, chairman or old founder of Microsoft, and Warren Buffett, they both came out as harsh critics to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. They literally just came out in the last day or two. I know they've been talking about it for a couple months, but yesterday they just came out and they really gave some anti-Bitcoin and cryptocurrency sentiment in the market, which has kind of started to help propel the price downward for Bitcoin, right? And it happened right as we were hitting 10,000. I mean, do you think that's ironic? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't really know, right? So right around 10,000, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett come out. They say all these nasty things about Bitcoin. So Warren Buffett, if you just search for Warren Buffett, you know, let's see. Warren Buffett stalls Bitcoin's advance just short of 10,000. Bill Gates says, I would short Bitcoin if I could. And they just kind of downplay and talk trash about Bitcoin, right? Buffett and Gates are the latest Bitcoin critics halting the $10,000 push, right? Bill Gates said on Monday, I would short it if there was an easy way to do it, in an interview on CNBC. And then he said, if it's an asset class, you're not actually producing anything, right? Warren Buffett has also recently called Bitcoin rat poison. I'm trying to find that in the article here, but he's recently called it rat poison. Okay, so you know Bill Gates is not bullish. You know Warren Buffett is not bullish on Bitcoin, and you have to ask yourself why, right? Some of the biggest names in tech, Bill Gates, who obviously invented Microsoft and founded the company, you think would understand Bitcoin and blockchain technology, right? And I'm not quite sure the reasons why he is calling Bitcoin, you know, a good opportunity to short. If he was so confident that you should short Bitcoin, why doesn't he short Bitcoin, right? Here is one of the, if not, here is the richest man in the world saying that he would short Bitcoin if there was an easy way to do so. But you know what? This guy is the richest man in the world. He could figure out any way of doing anything he wanted. He has enough money to do that, let alone he's the founder of Microsoft. He invented Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office. You would think this guy would be smart enough to go and short Bitcoin if it was such a terrible investment like he is claiming, right? So there's obviously, you know, the writing is on the wall here. He's obviously not, you know, not honestly telling you the truth that he would short Bitcoin, because if he would actually do it, and he would make billions of dollars doing it, right? So that's not true. Buffett is the same thing. One of the richest men in the world is saying Bitcoin's poison. He wouldn't invest in it. He doesn't understand it. Whatever, right? I mean, he would short it. He would short Bitcoin, and it would cause the price to go down, and maybe he has shorted it, right? Okay, so that happened, and then we saw Jamie Dimon back in September. You know, back in September, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of Chase Bank, the biggest bank and financial institution in the United States of America, he in September of 2017 called Bitcoin a fraud, and then in January of 2018 says he regretted calling Bitcoin a fraud and believes in the technology behind it, right? So Jamie Dimon in September called Bitcoin a fraud, right? So early September 2017, September 12th, 2017, right? So let's look at the price of Bitcoin on 2017, September 12th, right? If we go over here, and I'm going to just try to mark it for you right here. This is September 12th. All right, we see the price about right here on September 12th. Let's change the color of that so you can see it, right? Okay, so that when Jamie Dimon came out and did that, the price of Bitcoin, whoops, let's delete that. The price of Bitcoin actually went down about 50% when he did that. See, it went down almost 50%, not quite, but about 40-something percent. The price went down to Bitcoin when Jamie Dimon said it was a fraud, right? You think, again, coincidence? He was trying to bring the price of Bitcoin down, only to realize that he has no control as we see this massive bull run come right after it. And he apologizes where? Right in January, he apologizes about calling Bitcoin a fraud, right? Okay, so what is actually going on here? Why are all these big name players calling Bitcoin a fraud, right? Where like Mark Cuban, who's also a founder of a big technology company, is bullish on Bitcoin. Like where are these divergent views coming from? And we can only kind of exacerbate that or amplify that by looking at the war of Bitcoin Core versus Bitcoin Cash proponents, right? And all we have to do is go on Roger Ver, his Twitter account, and you'll find an image like this, right? So there's this big controversy that Bitcoin Core, which is BTC, is the real Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin Cash, which is BCH, is the real Bitcoin, right? So if you remember, back in August of 2017, there was a hard fork where Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash essentially splitted and went their separate ways, right? Since then, there has been a group formed by Blockstream called Bitcoin Core, and they consistently and, almost like freakishly, cult-likely say Bitcoin Core or BTC is the real Bitcoin. Whereas Roger Ver, who's an early proponent, early adopter, early evangelist of Bitcoin, he owns Bitcoin.com, the domain and the website. He claims that Bitcoin Core, BTC, was hijacked by a group of libertarian, anti-Bitcoin, government-friendly developers, and they actually overtook Bitcoin and created Lightning Network, SegWit, so forth and so on. And many people say that Lightning Network, SegWit actually make the Bitcoin more centralized and actually make it controllable by a company or entity like a government or a bank, right? Which is what Blockstream is, and why a lot of people are now having a problem with Bitcoin Core, right? All right, so Bitcoin Cash was then, this alternative Bitcoin forking from the same blockchain essentially back in August of 2017, and is holding true to what Bitcoin is actually about and what it actually is in the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. All right, so quick background on that, but this is an image. So many people think that Bitcoin was like this and Bitcoin Cash kind of split off as this offshoot from Bitcoin, right? So a lot of people misguided think that that's what happened. Those that are confused think kind of the same thing, but think that Bitcoin Cash kind of forked out and started right when Bitcoin, the fork was in August, right? But what really happened is, if you look at the bottom here, what a hard fork actually means is that you're going on a single trajectory and then literally you break off into two separate branches at the same time. That is what a hard fork actually is. That's the definition. And that is what happened with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core, SegWit, and Lightning, right? And this represents that right here. Bitcoin Cash went its own way, and Bitcoin Core and SegWit and Lightning went their own way, right? Okay, so now that you have that, could there be this massive conspiracy going on around all of this, around the bankers, around the government, around whoever, to gain control of the system, to gain control of this new credit ledger system that has been developed from blockchain and ultimately from Bitcoin? Could that be going on, or is that just a conspiracy theory, right? So we look at, people like John McAfee, who John McAfee has said, to Jamie Dimon, accept the reality that you need to surrender. The banking days are over. Central banks, big banks controlling money, controlling power, those days are numbered. And John McAfee is now consistently going on the offensive, telling Jamie Dimon that he needs to surrender, asking for universal disarmament from the banking and government axes, right? So the banking and government systems have really controlled the world for a very, very long time. And Mr. McAfee is now saying that they no longer will control the world because cryptocurrency and blockchain have been developed, right? Okay, so here you have John McAfee, who's a tech pioneer, multimillionaire tech pioneer, set up McAfee antivirus way back in the 80s. Now he's one of the biggest proponents of cryptocurrency and blockchain. He also supports Bitcoin Cash, right? He supports Roger Ver. He supports Craig Wright. He supports Jihan Wu. One of the smartest guys in tech supports Bitcoin Cash and is steering away from Bitcoin Core, right? Whereas the banks and other government entities are now starting to get their fingers into Bitcoin through Blockstream and through development efforts of Blockstream. Bitcoin Cash is being, freeing people through the original Satoshi Nakamoto vision, right? Okay, so that's all going on. So keep all that in mind, right? Okay. Okay, so what I want to show you now, okay, the story of how Blockstream hijacked Bitcoin is an incredible, what? Let's see. So they both say that they hijacked one another. And I mean, you guys can, okay, the story of how Blockstream hijacked Bitcoin is an incredible story of money, lies, and greed that become more and more relevant to the outside world every day. Do you think this sub could get attention of Wall Street Journal reporter and writer if exposed, right? So there's this battle going on. And, okay, think about this for a minute. So what is, I mean, and then, okay, look at this conspiracy as well, okay? So on Reddit, it says, conspiracy, the government created Bitcoin, possibly the Rand Corporation or federal banks, right? And so there's a push for money to go 100% digital. The credit system the banks have wanted to use for a long time. People weren't having it and they wanted their cash, so the credit system failed. So now cryptocurrency has come along, and this is a way for the banking and government systems to implement a fully digital type of money that is controlled by the government, right? But is it? Bitcoin isn't supposed to be controlled by the government. In the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, it's not supposed to be controlled by the government. It's supposed to be so decentralized that no one or no single entity can overtake and control Bitcoin, right? And that is what it was meant to do. That was the purpose of why it was designed and built in the first place, right? So, okay. Okay, and so this reads further, the credit system that eventually will be used to chip our bodies. Before we know it, we'll have chips in our heads and our bodies, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's all these kind of views of what's the real Bitcoin. Is it Bitcoin Cash? Is it Bitcoin Core? We don't know. What is the real Bitcoin, right? But then you look at like what's happening in government, you look at what's happening in bank, you look at what's happening in actual Bitcoin Core with BTC and how it is actually becoming more centralized. You see all the trolls, all the negative and criticism around Bitcoin Cash. I mean, you can't go anywhere and talk about Bitcoin Cash without a number of trolls just completely bad-mouthing you or Bitcoin Cash, saying that it's just shit, saying it's bad, saying it's terrible, the price is going to go down without any type of justification or analysis to back that up whatsoever, all right? So it's just somewhat interesting to me that this is all happening. Then you have these power players like McAfee, Jihan Wu, Craig Wright, Roger Ver, Jamie Dimon, who are battling it out, right? Obviously, John McAfee is against the banking system, and he's supporting Bitcoin Cash, not Bitcoin Core. Why? Could there have been a government and banking conspiracy that has taken over Bitcoin Core, and Bitcoin Cash is kind of the revival of Bitcoin in its truest sense to unlock or to unleash the general public from the banking and government control? I don't know, but it is a very interesting thing to explore, and I'm going to keep exploring it on the Crypto Camacho YouTube channel because I think it's fascinating. And then, even to top it off, so last time I made a video, I talked about this, China's social credit system, crypto and what's next. So if you remember, China is implementing a social credit system in which they track the behaviors, whether positive or negative, of all of their citizens through a mass surveillance program that China has been rolling out in secret. So this is now not secret anymore. It just came out that China is working on their social credit system and actually banning people from traveling, banning people from buying things, banning people from having internet access who do not comply with this social credit system, right? So China is already trying to implement a social credit system, and where do you think it's going to go? It's going to go towards the blockchain. They're going to use blockchain to implement this social credit system to be able to track your behaviors if you are a Chinese citizen. Think of the power this wields to China. If they can track every citizen's movements, whether on the internet, online, or in the physical world through cameras and sensors, they can literally have an entire history of every single person in China, all the activities that they've taken, everything they've bought, everything they've looked for online, everything they've done right and wrong in their lives, if it's overtly done at a place that can be recorded, will be recorded on the blockchain, and China will use this to reward or punish its citizens. And ultimately, if there is a single global currency, through cryptocurrency or through any type of blockchain protocol, what can you do if you control that? If you control a global payment system that's digitized and all digital, you could turn that on or off for different citizens that either behave or step out of line. See where this is going, guys? This is getting very, very scary, very, very interesting. There's a big war going on. Wake up, guys. There is a war going on between the banks and the governments and their citizens. We are no exception in the United States. This is happening, guys. It's not as overt in the U.S., but it is happening. If you think that the war between Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash is simply for fun, you are absolutely wrong. Big, big, big power interests and financial interests are at stake here. They think they can gain control of the cryptocurrency and blockchain movement by hijacking Bitcoin, by using Blockstream to hijack Bitcoin and its development progress. It's not going to happen, guys, because we have Bitcoin Cash already getting market share and people are already starting to realize what's actually happening here, guys. This is crazy. If you don't understand this, please, please comment and I will explain it more. I will keep making more videos about this, but there is some urgency here. I would definitely take a look at Bitcoin Cash. It's up almost 200% in the last, I think, 30 days or so, 2 months, something like that. It's up almost 200%, so worth taking note in and of itself just to make some money, guys. Whew, that was a mouthful, guys, but if you do not want to go the direction of China in this dystopia credit system that they are creating using blockchain, wake up, guys. This is happening right before your eyes. I'm Dan from CryptoCamacho.com. If you love conspiracies, give me a holler, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If you hate if you hate conspiracies, give me a thumbs down and don't subscribe. But if you like what I just said and you think there's any relevance to it, please leave a comment because I really want to know. This is not a time to fuck around. You need to get on board with what's happening and wake up and decide what direction you are going to go with all of this shit. All right, guys. I'm Dan from CryptoCamacho.com. See you later.